Hello, and welcome everyone to Alta Live. My name is Beth Spotswood, and I am delighted to kick off today's Alta Live with designer Amanda Zoe. Amanda has an incredible brand of clothing based out of Yucca Valley in the high desert in California called Chain Driven Apparel. She was featured in Alta Journal's newsletter and on our website, altaonline.com, in a fabulous article by Jennifer Lewis. So you can check that out if you haven't already. But what we do here at Alta Live is kind of take newsletters, online posts, magazine posts, and expand upon them in a live interview series. And that's what we're doing here today with Amanda. So I'm so excited to welcome her. Welcome, Amanda.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Before I dive into a conversation, we're going to check out Amanda's studio. We're going to see some of her work. I want to do my spiel for Alta Journal. Alta Journal is an award-winning quarterly magazine, website, event series focused on California and the West. You can join us as a member for $50 a year, get 4 big, gorgeous issues like this in your mailbox, along with our guide to indie bookstores of California and the West. You get a baseball cap with your order these days.
Ooh.
So check that out. You can also join as a digital member for as little as $3 a month. So please do, if you like what we do here, if you wanted, you can sign up for our free newsletters. We host a free monthly California book club. In fact, tomorrow evening, we're going to welcome Layla Lalami in conversation with her book, The Other Americans. That's free also. But check us out. Join us as a member if you can, if you want to. As for today's event, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to ask questions for Amanda. This interview will be recorded, and we will shoot you an email with it, as well as post it to our website later this afternoon. We're also going to send you links to where you can shop for Amanda's clothes, Chain Driven Apparel. She's going to give some shout outs to other high desert kind of cool people that you might want to check out also. So we'll send you links to those as well, how to follow Chain Driven Apparel on Instagram, etc., etc. I see Karen has let us know she's zooming in from South San Francisco, as we say here.
Karen.
Let us know where you're zooming in on the chat. I am up north in Novato, California. Amanda, where are you today?
I'm in Yucca Valley. I'm in my studio, just right in old downtown. And my studio's in my house. So I'm just sitting comfortably at home.
You work from home, like many of us.
Yeah, it is the dream. I love it so much.
Hi, New York City. That's great. Okay,
Hi.
so I'm curious, I kind of want to, if you haven't gotten, for those that haven't gotten a chance to read the article about Amanda's work. Amanda, can you just give us a little background on Chain Driven Apparel, how you started your design career, when you moved to, you're not originally from the high desert, kind of how you landed there doing what you do?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I started sewing when I was a kid, so probably about 10 years old. And my mom taught me, and my mom might be watching, so I'm gonna say, hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. She taught me how to sew, and I just really kept going with it because I just loved it. And also, just to find clothes that worked for me, it was kind of harder because I'm curvier, I'm a little shorter. So learning to work on my own clothing is really like where it just started and spiraled out of control. So I'm from Washington State, and I've been sewing like all of my adult life. I moved to New Orleans in my mid-20s, and that is where Chain Driven actually started. I have a hip background in factory work, so I actually started a factory in Washington when I was still there. And I moved to New Orleans with all this equipment I had from this business, and ended up joining forces with a woman-owned factory there in New Orleans. And so I was managing this factory.
What kind of factory?
It was it was designed to help small businesses and like entry-level designers. So we could do anything from development all the way to manufacturing. So if you had an idea and you just like scribbled it down, we could build the patterns, we could design the tech pack for it. And and we could do all the like samples and, you know, fitting and model fit stuff. And then whenever you're ready to launch with multiple pieces, we could manufacture it. So I was working there, and then trying to design my own stuff on the side, but it was pretty busy. So it would be like early mornings. I would get to work early and like spend a couple hours working on a jumpsuit pattern. That was the first thing that I launched as Chain Driven, as a jumpsuit.
And how'd you land in the desert?
So the desert, so being in New Orleans, you know, I had all this equipment and I was sharing space with the factory, which was great. By the way, that factory is called NOLA DDM, and I'm still very good friends with them. All women running that place, kicking ass. And I really wanted to own my workspace. So, you know, I was trying to get Chain Driven going, and I needed a home base. You know, I've been moving around with this equipment for a while, and it's no easy feat. I'll show you in a minute what the equipment looks like. They're very heavy machines. So I just wanted to find a place where I could really, you know, settle down and get to work. And looking in New Orleans, I could have found a spot, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay for even another 5 years. So I started looking elsewhere. And at first, I was really set on New Mexico. New Mexico is just such a beautiful state, and the landscape is, you know, really important to me. Like, I really want to be somewhere beautiful where I can, like, yes, do my work, but also be outside and enjoying everything that the area has to offer. So I landed on Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree area, because it's in proximity to Los Angeles. And those resources are just, they make a huge difference when you can just drive in and get basically anything you need.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the desert is super cool, as we know. All right, before we see your studio, let's look at, I'm going to share some of Chain Driven's work, and
Like
kind
the
of as we look at this, I'm curious kind of how much does the desert inform your design? I know you talked about this a little bit in the article we did about you, but in terms of, I mean, there are certainly elements of like motorcycles, which I know you are
oh
hardcore
yes.
into motorcycles. Um,
Hardcore.
you know, is it punk rock? Is it metal? Is it the desert? What are your inspirations?
Well, it's also like, this is a custom. A lot of the images that I sent you are customs that I've made. So yeah, my focus is usually like flora and fauna. I do a lot of, you know, plants and animals. And then, you know, like some motorcycle related images like chains and barbed wire and daggers, flames. We all love flames, especially in motorcycle culture. But like that first picture, that was designed specifically for someone, and her company is called Bird Trouble, and she's a really amazing leather handbag designer and manufacturer. And so that was made for her so that she could wear it to her events. You know, it kind of like, it feels like her brand. So that's kind of more branded. But yeah, a lot of the other things I do, like the flames and leather and fringe, and like this one's like the high desert, like it's got the cactus and the roadrunner and scorpion and the snakes and palmettos. So that's definitely like my favorite type of imagery. But I love the challenge of designing and, you know, thinking outside of what I stick to like generally, and creating something specifically for somebody based on their preference.
So you do both custom and ready to wear, because I should point out to our audience that
Oh
if you
yeah.
go to Chain Driven's website, you can order right from there, not only custom, but you can just grab a jumpsuit in your size from existing designs. And there's, you know, you have bandanas that priced at 25 bucks. You've got tank tops for $30. There's a range of pricing. There's a range of sizing. It's very size inclusive, which delights me. But one can kind of communicate with you online and get a custom suit, jumpsuit, an array of items.
Mhm. Right. So yeah, like I have all my patterns I've already developed. So like the jacket you see here, the like cropped jacket is kind of a workwear vibe, and then the high-waisted pant. Um, I do a lot of different styles with these patterns, but like this I have is this was a custom option. So somebody reached out to me and she's getting married and she really
Oh,
wanted like a certain type of flower. And she's like, I really love the fringe when you do the fringe on the arm. So I'm like, boom, 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 let's do that, that, and that. And I always design the suit first in Illustrator. So I draw everything out and then place it like almost exactly how it's going to look. So I can send a picture that's going to look just like the suit after it's finished. So this is an example of that. Here's the finished suit. And I should have sent a picture of this bride because she looked so beautiful.
I love that this is a bridal suit. That is just
Yeah, it's really sweet.
incredible.
This
This,
has more desert vibe, desert and motorcycle because we got the chains and the scorps.
the scorps. What do you have of the, I know that there's flowers, chains, scorpions, cacti. Um, is there something, flames? Is there something that's particularly popular?
Scorpions are the number one. Like they're the most popular of all time. And the snakes, but I think scorpions definitely take the cake because there's a lot of people who identify with the scorpion as their like astrology, astrological Scorpio,
Mm.
but also just I think it's a desert vibe. Like it really
Yeah.
like I'm not a Scorpio and people ask me that a lot. And I'm like, no, actually I live in the desert and I'm surrounded by thousands of scorpions,
Oh, they
and I
ask
think
if you're a
that they're so
Scorpio.
cool. Yeah, I'm not. You don't have to be a Scorpio to enjoy the scorpion.
This is chains sold out
This is
on
all
your website.
chains. Yes, and this is a print that was designed for me. The chain link print. It actually has a zebra print inside of the chain, which is going to be really hard to see, but it's zebra chain. And my friend Nikki Rain designed that print for me. And she's a really awesome artist and tattoo artist. She works in San Francisco at Idle Hands. And yeah, I love this is another super popular design. People love the chain print stuff.
Ooh, this is one of my faves.
This one's pretty fun. Yeah, we got the moon phase and big moves. This is a motorcycle mama that I met from Tucson, and she, just she had an idea of what she wanted. She's like, I want the ram horn. I want the wolf chasing the moon and the wolf chasing the sun. And so we just got a really cool little suit for her, and she looks really awesome in it. Again, I wish I had sent pictures of all my customers and their pieces.
How much do you for these? First of all, how much does this cost? Would a custom jumpsuit like this run me?
This one, it's in the 700 range. Most of the customs, like I've gone up over the years just because it's a lot of work. And I started at a much lower price point just when I was getting things going and just, kind of generating excitement about it. I did some suits more in like the $500 range, and I've just kind of had to increase over time because when I reflect on how many hours I put into all of it, I'm cutting everything out. I'm like doing all the designs. So first, just like the design element takes several hours just to like create the design and placement and sizing and everything. So yeah, it's most of the customs are between like 650 and like 950 at this point.
And how much does your client get to work with you on designing this? Do they just give you elements? I want the wolf and the moon phases and a ram skull, or do you really get down in the nitty-gritty with them and all right, well, I'm going to put the wolf here. What do you think? Where do you want the moon?
It's actually as much or as little as they want to be involved, or as whatever their vision is. I'm down for whatever. For the most part, people will kind of just send me like, I've seen your other suits. I really liked this from this suit and this from that suit, and I have these other ideas, maybe these colors, and I'll just create that mock-up to start, just so we have a place to start. And honestly, most of the time, it's just like the first mock-up I send. I'll get a response. It's like, oh my God, that's like exactly what I want. I'm like, okay, easy, let's do it. But then
Fantastic.
sometimes, I'm happy for people to have preferences, and if they want something moved a little bit, like, or like the size change, like it's easy, especially in Illustrator. And so that's why I always start there, so that you can see like exactly what it's going to look like before I cut anything.
Like Lady Beast here.
Like Lady Beast. Okay, Lady Beast, I met her in New Orleans, and she's a really awesome performer. She walks across bottles, she like balances on stuff, she does like all sorts of circus performances. And so Lady Beast is her circus name. And this is like a very swamp feel suit. Big old gaiters on the legs, got the snakes on the front, palmettos again. Like I started using palmettos in New Orleans because there's palmettos everywhere, but they're also out here, and they're just one of my favorite plant. Like the texture is so cool. It's spiky and just has like a really cool visual appearance.
This is gorgeous.
I love this one.
The
This
elements of these are so, are these dominoes, dice?
We've got dice. Yeah, so very two-dimensional dice on this one. And then we have some little flaming eight
Oh
balls
yeah.
and
The
a road
Roadrunner
runner.
again.
This is for Gowan, Texas, and the barbed wire.
All right. So that's a small smattering, folks, of what you can find in Chain Driven. Can you, so now we've kind of, and I really encourage you to go to the website and like shop around. It's really just fun to kind of fantasize, at least for me, like what could I pull off? What would I look like in this? Can you show us around your workspace a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna pick you up. So we're in my studio now, and this is where I do most of my sewing and stuff, but I have like a little cutting work table here. And then I have my like little ironing like spot over there. So we have a little workspace. Here are 6 of my industrial machines, and they all do different things. So like these two, if you can see my hand, the two over by the window do a straight stitch. So that's what you see in a lot of clothing, is a straight stitch. And then also overlock is really popular. So sergers, so these are both sergers. And I usually just have them set up, one with black and then one with white, because I use those colors so much. So I just have 2 set up for each, color style all the time. This one does like a free form zigzag, which I use a lot for the applique.
Oh, sure.
This one I haven't been using as much. It's a cover stitch, and so I used it more in the factory setting, like making t-shirts or sweatshirts, anything with a stretchy hem. And it's like really, I could show you a whole diagram of all the stitches, and it probably makes sense. Like, why do you need so many machines just to sew a shirt? And it's just because they all do different things. And when you have the industrial version, they're meant to do it like super efficient and like well. Okay, so we moved into the garage now. This is where I cut all my stuff. So I have some fabric roll storage. I also can I actually built this myself. So these are fabric rolls and dowels. I can pull fabric down like
Literally.
that. Like that. That one's like actually balancing on top of another roll. But I can pull fabric down, and then I have this whole cutting area, so I can spread it out and then cut my pieces. So that's really helpful for storage and for use. Here's all my patterns, which I'll show you. These are all done by hand. So you can see I have like this section here. This is all like the top portion of my jumpsuit. So I have like every size, right? I have the 25 waist. Oh wait, we started there. This is, I have every size here. So I have 13 sizes. They're all graded, and it's hard to see for real, but there's just so much work that goes into making all these sizes. And I do my best to be size inclusive. So if there's ever a question about how this will fit me, Like, I'm always happy to answer any questions.
So
Thank you,
cool.
Terry
There
Terry.
yeah.
And
It
then
is impressive.
I have more machines. So these are all like I have a buttonhole machine. Over
Oh,
here, I have
good, yeah.
a flat fell machine, which is for denim. I have a snap setter type machine in the corner. And then this is a walking foot for leather. I have a button sew, which is actually really cool because it sews buttons on. So you don't have to do it by hand because I hate sewing buttons by hand. And then I have another like freeform, like monogramming embroidery machine in the back. And then, yeah, fabric storage, everything. So that is, oh, and someone says the motorcycle seats are so cool. Thank you. That's really sweet. Yeah, I started making motorcycle seats too. So it's just trying to keep up with everything that I want to make. And I'm doing it bit by
You're
bit.
doing it. You're really doing it. It's just like inspired, like, folks, you could do it. Clearly, Amanda did it. Go
If
follow
that,
your dream.
yeah, if there's any message, like that's absolutely it. Like I'm totally self-taught, and I've just been so motivated forever and driven to do like make things and design things and just see like if I can figure it out. And you always can. Someone
Yeah.
else did it before you, why not you?
I'm curious how I want to talk a little bit about the high desert, Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, and that kind of community. What is there a creative, artistic community, collective, bonding, friendships going on there?
Most definitely.
And what's it like? How does one kind of become a part of it?
So I actually, when I first moved to town, to buy my house, I had to have a W-2. And this is really silly, but like I'm self-employed, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't really approve that often. So I had to get a W-2. So I worked at the coffee shop, which has kind of always been my hack whenever I moved to a new city, because you meet everybody at the coffee shop. And so I would work at this coffee shop and wear Chain Driven and be like, hey, do you guys mind if like while I'm making coffee, I'm like handing out business cards? They're like, oh yeah, of course, do it. So I worked at this coffee shop, and I just instantly met like a bunch of artists and musicians. And this was also COVID, so I think it would have been a little bit different. Like I probably could have met people elsewhere, but because things were kind of shut down, this was a really great way to meet everyone. So I met bands, yeah, and these artists that I'm still friends with. And my group of friends out here are basically all involved in the creative community
Are
or
they?
motorcycles. So we spend a lot of time together, and it's always like supporting one another. Like a bunch of friends and bands, we'll go see them play, at the little venues in town. Or like I was telling you before we started talking, we have a friend who does generator shows out here. So total like
Okay, you
DIY
gotta
set.
tell the people about the generator show.
Okay, so the generator shows. So Bill Dozer, hey Bill Dozer, if you're watching, he's puts on a lot of the like heavier shows in town, and the Giant Rock,
Heavier shows. What's a heavier show?
like the rock and roll type shows. Like we have Pappy's, which is a proper venue, and a lot of acts come through there. But like for like the locals and like kind of like the more DIY shows, um, this is my favorite place to see a show. It's a giant rock. It is a giant rock in the middle of the desert, and it has a lot of lore attached to it, which I recommend like delving into if you're interested in like what is there to do in the desert. Um, a lot of people used to come out for UFO conventions, and it was held at this rock. And indigenous people thought it was sacred. Obviously, alien believers thought it was sacred. And so this rock just has so much history. Someone built an apartment underneath it at one point and then blew himself up. Another story to look into all the lore because it's amazing.
And
But
it's just called Giant Rock
it's called Giant Rock, and it's in
outside of
Lander.
Landers.
Right. So like everything, when you're coming up into the high desert, everything's off of Highway 62. So it's Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, and then 29 Palms. But then if you were to head north on the 247, so north from Yucca, that will like take you towards Barstow. But heading out that way is Landers, and this is where the Giant Rock lives. And it's just a really cool spot. And also the Integratron, which if you haven't heard of the Integratron, you should look into that. You could go get a sound bath there these days, but back in the day, it was a device for the aliens taught someone how to build. So just lots of great history here.
And the generator show.
So yeah, going back to the generator show. So it's out, it's like literally, it's like 15 minutes out of dirt road, and it's pretty crazy dirt road. Like it's got some loop-de-loops, you know, you don't have to have four-wheel drive, but it is like, if you have like a smaller sedan, it might hit the ground a couple times. But so Bill Dozer, he's been putting shows on out there, and a lot of my friends' bands have played out there, such as This Lonesome Paradise, check them out. Sand Eater, check them out. Mother, check them all out. And also Landroids is another really good local band. Check them out. So yeah, he'll set up a stage, and then the bands will play there. Everything's running off of a generator. And I have another friend named Ivan. Hi, Ivan, if you're watching. And he does liquid light visuals. So he uses old projectors, such as you would have seen in elementary school, and sets up, you know, a projection via like liquid, like inks and stuff, and he swirls it around. So it's just like a psychedelic scope of, you know, just goo, and he'll like project it onto the giant rock while the bands are playing, and it's really cool, or directly onto the bands as well. So
Awesome. Are there any places if we are visiting, well, anywhere really, to buy your clothes in person?
yes, absolutely. So a good friend of mine, Becky Lee, opened up a store called Time Echo Vintage, and it's right in downtown Joshua Tree. And she has a vintage store, like a beautifully curated selection of vintage. And then she also has a bunch of, you know, local artists work in there as well. It could be paintings or like stuff that people have made, like jewelry, everything. So she has a nice selection of local work as well. And she actually, this building was a tattoo studio before. So it was built out to have different little tattoo rooms. And when she was getting the lease initially, she was like, would you be interested in having a little showroom here? So I have a little store in there, and it's really cute. It's just like a cute little closet, and it's jam packed. So if you're ever out here and you want to see some stuff in person or try stuff on, she's open 7 days a week and is an excellent curator.
Do you have Amy in the chat, points out that the women in country music would love your suits. Do you have a dream, a bucket list client? Is there someone who you would love to see wearing Chain Driven?
Oh, well, okay. So the country stuff, yeah, definitely. I get a lot of like Americana and country musicians, like Elle King. Jennifer Lewis or Jenny Lewis is less country, you know, she's more like kind of
Yeah.
indie rock and stuff. But the person I really want to make a suit for is Amy Taylor from Amyl and the Sniffers, which she was noted in the conversation with Jennifer Lewis. And not to be confused, there's Jenny Lewis, the musician, and Jennifer Lewis, the writer. I have two Jenny Lewises. They're not mine, but I'm glad to know them.
They're both talented.
Yeah, but Amy is like a front woman for an Australian punk band that I just love. She's got insane energy, and she's like, we seem like we're about the same size. And we've briefly talked about making her something. And so that's like, I love making stuff for the stage, and I'm happy to make a cool suit for any musician. Like I really just love music, and I want to see it out there. Like when it's on the stage, it's getting so much life, you know? So
Do you design, I know you try and be size inclusive. Are you gender inclusive? Do you just do kind of female identified clothes?
that's a really great question, because I'm working on the men's patterns right now,
Oh,
because a
great.
lot of the times, like the suits, like the white one, you know, um, the partner will be like, hey, I want to wear a suit too. Like, do you think I'll fit in that? I'm like, yeah, actually I've had like done a photo shoot and one of my dude friends was around. I'm like, hey, put these pants on in this jacket. And like, it looks good. But I am trying to make the men's version so that we can also have some men's styles too. And it's really like not having the bandwidth to keep like the women's styles keep me so busy. But I'm trying to grow, and I do have a couple gals that help me sew blanks, like the blank canvas, right? So I cut everything out, prep it for them, and then they can help me assemble. So like cuts that
Right.
time out for me. And I've taught one of my gals now to help with the applique. So we are like marching forward, growing very slowly but organically. So the men's stuff is coming, and I have a couple people in my inbox right now that have sent measurements. And so I'm trying to launch the patterns so that I can make these first couple men's suits in like the next couple months.
Well, I cannot wait to see them. Along with, I'm sure, our audience, we're looking forward to following you and Chain Driven and seeing what comes next for you and who else appears in these very cool. Cool does not seems like a very uncool word to use. Um, when speaking to someone so noticeably cool, but it's
So
badass work, Amanda.
thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. That's really nice to say.
And thank you so much for taking the time from your busy schedule and showing us your studio and your work. Oh, wait, question from Danielle. What motorcycle do you ride?
Ooh, I have a 70s Harley. It actually started as a 76, mostly stock Sportster. And since I got it like 5 years ago, I've redesigned the whole thing. Like nothing's original to it anymore besides like the frame and I think the rear drum brake. But otherwise, it has a tank that was painted by my friend Nikki Rain, who I mentioned before, who did my chain print. I also have some tattoos by her. She's just really great. And everything else has just been like learning to basically rebuild a motorcycle. Like it has a different motor in it. I've welded a bunch of stuff on it. Like I made some chain link foot pegs, and of course I made my seat. So the seat pan is all custom welded, and it's got a big old sissy bar like backrest for my. It's called the king and queen, but it's like my queen and king seat. The little king will sit back there, and of course I've upholstered it. I should have sent you a picture of that because it's all like chain driven style the way I upholstered it. It's got scorpions and snakes and
Is this on
daggers
your
and things.
Instagram? I
It is,
follow
yeah.
Chain Driven on Instagram, guys, if you're into social media, because it's kind of fun to live vicariously if you're a boring suburban mom like me through Amanda's.
And you can see my motorcycle.
And we can see
She's
your
on there.
motorcycle.
She'll show herself on the Instagram often.
With that, I'm so grateful to you for taking the time and sharing your work and your life with us. It's really inspiring and fun to see. So thank you so much, Amanda Zoe.
Thank you, Beth. It was so nice to meet you, and thank you for
Right.
chatting with me and following up. I really
Yes,
appreciate you
of course.
and
Um,
everyone who's shouting in right now.
yeah, we've had folks from all over. And this, again, folks, this will be recorded, posted to altaonline.com later today. We're going to send you links to this, to Amanda's work, and more. So keep an eye on your inbox later this evening for that. And join us next week. We welcome environmental activist, Vietnam veteran, fascinating character, Doug Peacock is going to join us to talk about what's going on with grizzly bears in both Alaska and possibly in the lower 48. So he's very
Ooh.
concerned about the plight of grizzly bears. And we're going to be talking about that with the famous Doug Peacock. That is April, or what month are we in? March 27th at 12:30 here at Alta Live. With that, Amanda
I'll
Zoe,
tune
Chain,
in for that.
yeah, come on down. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you. This was great. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care. Look cool
All
and
right.
take care. Bye.
Mwah.